Hey, Brannon, Beliso here. You living your best life. It's Friday, November 4th, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the West Coast. I am Brannon Beliso, and welcome to Success Never Sleeps, where we as a collective of small business owner, predominantly martial arts school owners, we get in here and we chop it up and try to figure out this thing called life. The reason I believe, for me, I'm confident to share with you my thoughts is because I have not just data. See, data by itself is really useless. And I want to start with that because it's so easy to, scour the internet and gather data, then reproduce that data as if you know that data and you've experienced that data. And so you can go out there and through your life experiences, help other people to succeed. So I want to be very mindful about that when I do collect data, which I'm big on because data helps temper my own personal opinion, my own viewpoints, my own vision of success, that I'm extremely mindful. And that requires research. And you can't research one dimensionally. You have to research many different ways. And so I share that passionately when I work with school owners. I talked to one yesterday, and I know where we're at today with investing for the small school owner, but I want to get into this real quick. And we were getting done with this discovery call, and she made the comment to me, wow, nobody has ever had so many different insights. I said, well, I'm a small business owner. I've owned businesses for over 30 years. I have to be able to stand toe to toe with a contractor. I have to know, what's going on with a lawyer when we negotiate a lease. I have to know general leasing terms in my county, the laws, all the different things. It's what comes with owning a small business. And I think I go back to the time when there was no internet. Yeah, I'm that old, right? When there was no internet, there were no computers, there were no cell phone. I couldn't Google it or any of that. And you had to think it out. Critical thinking. I actually used to drive around with paper maps. So there was that time and that type of critical thinking, that gumption to fall and fail and think and adjust and pivot and adapt under your own mindset is powerful. I can't just simply, and I think that's what's scary about our culture today, is you can just Google something and it's the truth because it's on the internet. And that's where this whole misinformation, things are a lie, and right down to our industry. You can't tell me it can't trickle down into every industry and every fabric and walk of life because it does. It simply does. And because I've got the best video, the most likes, the most views, the coolest filter, my truth is more truthful than your truth? I don't think so. I don't think so. But right is right and wrong is wrong. So when it comes to running a small business, I believe I possess this really strong, innate, intuitive common sense that comes from an era of no computers, where you had to think about it, where you had to figure it out, where you had to make mistakes and then pivot, adapt, and clean up your mess. Now, the yin to the yang of that. Do I leverage technology? Oh, I do. I couldn't imagine getting in a car without a GPS. No freaking way. And I love Uber. I love Uber. So, you know, it's so important. It's so important to get that, right? It's so important to get that. And for me, that's important. All right. So let's begin by thanking our sponsors. As always, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting. All companies I believe in, all companies that are disruptive. I love disruption. That's why I chose to pop this behind me today, because we're in a time, either you follow the status quo or you lead a path of disruption. The thing is, if you're doing it your way and you're not as successful as the Joneses are going to tell you your way sucks. And that's simply not true. Your version of happiness, your version of success may not entail multiple locations and all these other things. Your version of success may simply be quality family time, right? It might be optimal health. It might be 150 students. You need to be clear about that, because every day you have to wake up and sing your song. But do you have that confidence in your vision? And that's really what I'm all about. And that's why I love these companies, because they are visionaries. And when you're creating something out of nothing, like Market Muscles did with these types of websites, or My Studio, right, that I think is still in its infancy, but really making headway with what they're trying to do with this CRM-based app. Kids love life skills, still in infancy. We're a 10-year-old company and we're still trying to figure out the best way to communicate these life skills to people, to kids, right? To impact their lives and help change this world. And LC accounting, my sister is just so nuts and bolts. She keeps me in line. She's like a magician. And I love the work she does with me as a bookkeeper. So that's what I'm trying to share with you is what is your version of success? And as we get into today's subject, investing for the small school owner, I want you to really, really write that down. What is your version of success and happiness? For some people, they want to work a day job and in 40 years have a pension and have medical and retirement. That works fine. Me, I'm different. I like what I do. I like taking nothing and becoming a millionaire within X number of years. I like that. I enjoy investing in startups. That's why you see me post things like Fair Lafette. That is a champagne I invested in several years ago. That is just freaking taking off, taking off, taking off. And it's really, really cool, right? Because through a pandemic, through a war, through a recession, people drink. Did I know this was going to happen? No. Is it a really good quality product? Yes. But more so, I believe in the people behind it, right? I believe even though I don't drink, I believe in the people behind it. So I put money into that and it's growing. I like that. Could I lose all that money? Absolutely. But you got to know that when it comes to investing, that you can invest and lose everything. Everything. Write that down. But as they said, with great risk comes great reward. But with great risk can come great failure. So I think that's the biggest challenge right now. People have said to me, man, you invest in the market. You're really sucking it now, aren't you? Well, I only suck if I sell it. We were in the same position in the pandemic. We were in the same position during the mortgage crisis. We were in the same position in the dot-com bust in 2000. So it does that. But the big thing I want you to really embrace and be super, super clear on. If I buy stock here in the year 2000, okay, anything I bought in 2000, we're in 2022. It's made money. It's made money. That's it. Historically, every piece of data will indicate that, right? It will do this. And that's what's happening now. We're seeing this, and it's very volatile. But I was looking at Apple. And Apple, I've been buying for a long time. And it shared that in the next, I think, 10 years, 10 or 20 years, Apple's going to be worth $700 a share based upon data. So you do the math. $7 a share. I mean, $700 a share or 710. That's crazy. That's crazy. Right now, it's at what? 134 today, right now. I mean, if I look at Apple stock, it's I don't know, 100 and I just want to make sure because I don't want to misquote. And I'm really big on that. Every day I'm in the market, I study it. It's an animal, it's alive. Yeah, it's 134.68. So right now, but imagine that it's going to be around $710 in the next decade or 20 years. One of the two. You can Google that for me, Marco. What is Apple going to be worth in the next 10, 20 years? And put that in there, Marco. So that's the big thing I want to tell you historically, right? I'm not a crypto guy, not my thing. Not my thing, but I will say Bitcoin has been extremely stable through all of this. It's been hovering around 20,000, so I think what needs to happen for me in crypto is it needs to be regulated. That's it. When the government can regulate it, then it's going to be a different day. And that's just me, right? Some people would think you're nuts for investing into startups. You are crazy, they would say, because startups are hit or miss. Sure. But if you invest in a startup and it does well, and you study and you know the people involved and the money behind it and the business model and all that, it could be very lucrative. But normally with a startup, it's anywhere from a 3-year to a 10-year investment. And if you're not willing to do that, then again. So I think the big thing with investing, the mindset I want you to really embrace, it's money that you don't need to touch. Do I keep it liquid? I keep some of it liquid. So if I need to pull from it, I can pull from it. Would I pull from it right now? No. The market's down and you only lose when you sell and you only lose when you don't buy. That's it, right? And they have that principle. I was reading one called the falling knife. right? A stock's dropping, you're buying it. A stock's dropping, you're buying it because it's getting lower. A stock's dropping because you're buying it. A stock's dropping because you're buying it. That will happen too. So be mindful of that. It's the falling knife theory. And what that fundamentally means, if a knife is dropping, I'm trying to catch this knife. You with me? And when you try to catch that knife, that's a blade you could cut yourself. So there's that philosophy too. Okay. Now, so what do I recommend? Where do we begin as the investing for the small business owner? Well, there's a book you should read called Profit First. Okay. Write that down. It's 10 years, approximately 425. Thank you. In 10 years, it'll be 425. So what will it be in 20 years, Marco? So right now it's at $134. In 10 years, it's going to be $425. What is that? 250% gain? Wow. Do the math on that. 250% gain, right? So Marco, help me on that. Right now it's 134. So how much gain is that? 425. Just to do the math for me, Marco. What's the percentage of the gain? I just want to give you some idea of what potentially can happen. And then I'll double back on Profit First. And when you invest in the market, for me, again, I have a high risk tolerance, so I will do some things that can be challenging under traditional. If you look at frickin' Kramer and all these other people out there spewing, what you should buy and what you shouldn't buy. But the tried and true companies, I don't believe Apple's going to go anywhere. Apple's been around since the 70s or whatever. Apple will continue to flourish and thrive and be here. All right? That's a done day. That is a done freaking day. It is. It's a done day. Do you think Costco's going anywhere? Go. But yeah, you will see people like Sears gone, right? Blockbuster gone. You will see things like that. That happens. But we're talking about companies. You think Amazon's going anywhere? What do you think? What do you think? All right. I don't think so. And if you got questions, go ahead and put them in. Hey, Bob, James, Jason, what's happening, folks? The people that are climbing aboard, that are hanging out, please put in your name. Tell me where you're tuning in from. I would greatly appreciate you for doing that. Can you do that for me? I love to say hello and see who's here. So, Marco, give me that information that you can find. 425 to 135, let's just call it. How much of a percentage of a gain is that? Karate for Girls. What's up, Miss Monique? Columbia, Maryland. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, everyone that's choosing to share this broadcast. I am for the hoi polloi, the common man, the small school owner. I'm in the trenches like you are every freaking day. I am, because I choose to be in. This pandemic forced me back in. I feel like Godfather Part 3. Remember when he goes, I try to get out and they just pull me back in. But I love it. The pandemic gave me the opportunity to come teach again. Honestly, I wasn't teaching because I was raising babies and consulting people. And it's so cool to be in that mix. I have so much new teaching methods. I've learned so much about today's kid and the way they behave. It's cool. It's cool. So it's a 214% gain. Okay, Marco. So let's say I have 1,000 shares right now. Okay. 1,000 shares, Marco. What is that going to be worth in 10 years? Go. 1,000 shares. So there is that philosophy that you want to diversify, right? So you could buy Apple, you could buy Costco, you could buy, God, if you buy a utility right now or a gas company, there's a lot of money there, right? There's a lot of money. And I do believe clean energy is a big one for me. I like that. I think in the next, we're going to see companies grow in a lot more. Karate from Girls. Come here. Let me roll this up, Marco. And so again, but you want to do your homework. I think the education that goes into it, that I'm very blessed. I work with Sam On. I work with a gentleman named Britt Doyle. Two people I love and respect greatly that have had extreme financial success in their lives. And for me, that's social proof. You want to advise me on stocks? Do you want to advise me on where to invest? Show me your portfolio. Show me what you make. That's very important for me. Tune in from New York. Do you have a preference as to where to store stock money to prepare for the opportunity to either invest in the market or, right now, I mean, all the apps are catching up. All the apps are catching up. So Fidelity is a really, really good one. For me, I want to be able to liquidate quickly. I want to be able to buy. I want to be able to trade quickly. Right now, I use Robinhood. I like Robinhood. And I also have Schwab. Both their apps are improving a lot. I want to be able to trade after hours. I want to be able to trade pre-market sometimes. For me, that's important. When it's time to buy something, I want to be able to hop in here. Like right now, I'm looking at Apple. That's 134.64. Honestly, it's been going down, down, down. I'm going to watch that. 424, someone check my math. Yeah. So there you go. So if I have 1,000 shares right now, in 10 years, it's going to be worth $424,000. Okay. Right now at $135 a share, what is that? What are we discussing? 1,000 shares times $135. What is that? What is $135 a share times 1,000 shares? What is that, Marco? And you do the math. I mean, where do you make that kind of money anywhere else? So again, I know right now all the people who aren't in the market, yeah, it's $135,000. Cool. Cool. So there you go. So that's a pretty good gain. In 10 years, think about it. In 10 years, what is that gain? Right? 425 minus 135. What are we discussing? 280. 279 $279,000. $279,000. Divide that by 10. That's a pretty good return, right? And what have you done for that money? Nothing. Nothing. Now, what if you imagine every month, right? We're not even talking dividends that come with that stock. What if every month you put $300 into a stock like Apple? You just bought it every month, right? Because I think the big thing I've learned, I can't predict the market. That old saying, sell high, buy low, sell high, buy low, right? That doesn't work for me. That doesn't work. I would rather be a disciplined buyer and buy, right? Buy consistently because you can't time the market. You're going to make yourself nuts trying to time the market. I'm going to watch this and, when it gets there, I'm going to sell it. Then when it goes way down, I'm going to buy it again. Yeah. In a perfect world, that would be about right. Can I study enough data to say yes, right? The tech sector normally does well in the first quarter. Then it seems to have challenges and does what it does throughout the year. Because what I've observed, and this is my observation, I could be wrong, okay, is that strong investors go from sector to sector seasonally. They'll move around. So they move from utilities to the tech industry to different, they move. And I've watched that too. But again, it's not an exact science. I think if you look at it, the market can be extremely emotional. And look at something crazy, like when Elon Musk said GameStop and everybody screaming at Reddit, right? Hey, buy GameStop. Elon Musk is going GameStop, and everybody, bought into it. And then, when people lost money on GameStop and were taking stock advice at Reddit and listening to just Elon Musk on that? That's crazy. That's insane. People lost a lot of money on GameStop because the thing I've learned, many things I've learned, if somebody is making money on a stock, somebody is losing money on a stock. You with me? The person who bought low, everybody's buying, buying, buying. When Bitcoin was up around what, 60, 70,000? I forgot how high it got. People were buying Bitcoin at 70,000. That's insane. So where do you think that person is right now that bought Bitcoin at 70,000 and held on to it and it's 20,000 now? How much of a loss is that? Think about that for a minute, right? Think about that. So I want to be extremely mindful of that. The market does not care what any of us think or feel. It does not. It's a very emotional. I think the market is alive. It's almost human in many ways. Emotionally, if something happens, the market drops, right? You watch it with something like Dogecoin and things like that. When Elon Musk says something, he drives it up. He drives it down. That's a trip. That's a trip. So again, a disciplined investor, you're in it for the long haul. You got to be in it for the long haul, just like your business or anything. This get rich quick stuff from overnight simply does not work for me at all. Hey, we got a disruptor from New Jersey. Put your name in there. So in answer to that, it's David. In answer to your question, sir, Fidelity is a good platform. I like Robinhood. I like Schwab, but we're actually visiting it now. I would love to move everything into Fidelity, right? Because my Schwab account is set up because of our 401k. We have a 401k safe harbor program for our employees. And what that allows me to do, me and my wife can max out our 401k as long as we match our employees up to 3% of their salaries and their payroll. And I'm cool with that because I want to be a company that people want to work for, David, and that works for us. So we set that up on Schwab. The challenge for me is sometimes the Schwab app is slow. So I'm going to make a trade and the price says this. So I think I'm buying it at that price. And then once I buy it, all of a sudden I bought it at $1 more because the lag time between the time you hit buy and the time the purchase goes through, I want real time, fast, right now, right? And if you go in there and you want to set a limit, then already you've lost 20, 30 seconds. And in stock, that 20, 30 seconds could be the difference between making money and losing money. So again, Fidelity is a really strong platform for that. Cool? Cool. And just again, that question, everyone's going, you're nuts to be in the market. Look how bad it is. The other day, the Feds did a hike, right? Another interest hike. So the richest investors lost something like, I don't know, 70, 80 billion dollars all at once. Their stock value, 70, 80 billion, something of that number. And so, but you know what? They're still billionaires. And as long as they don't sell it, do they believe something like an Apple that's currently at 135 will go back to 180 is where it was at the beginning of the year? Absolutely. Because in what's data's telling us in 10 years, Apple's going to be something like $425 a share. What will it be in 20 years? I think it's 710. So again, once you can stomach that and you can deal with that volatility that comes with being in the market, then you're cool. But if you can't handle that, then do something lame, like stick it in some bank account electronically online at, I don't know. What is an online bank account paying right now? Anybody know? Take a look, Marco, really quick. Because I think it's like 1% to maybe, I don't even, I think it's 2 or 3%. It's not very high. Or you could do a credit union thing, things like that. A lot of people are buying bonds right now, and they're cashing them. So you can do that too. But for me, I prefer things like the market. That works for me. I like startups. Why? And I'm going to tell you why. I can deal with a little more volatility. I did not start accumulating wealth until I was in my 40s. I was a pop star in the Philippines. I made some money. I blew it all. I didn't care. The market wasn't even on my radar. Investing wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even buy a home until 2007. 2007, I bought a home. And I was what? Getting married at 40. So none of that was on my radar. I had no freaking sense whatsoever to that. But if I thought about it magically, if I was a kid at 18 years old, and I've read this data, you can, again, I'm sure it can be debatable. But if you're at 18 years old, you put $100 a month until you're 60 years old. You kept putting $100 a month until you're 60, into a sound, I don't know, pick a Vanguard fund, right? A Vanguard fund is a mix of something, right? And people like that too. People will like funds because imagine if you buy a fund and a fund has a number of stocks in it. Might have Apple, Costco, a utility like knee, whatever. I'm just saying you can count on one of the stocks are up, the other one's down, the other one's up, the other one's down. So overall, historically, that fund will yield you anywhere from 3% to 14%, right? Over 20 years. So you can do that too. And it's very conservative. And that's cool too, right? The average interest rate on savings account currently stands at 0.05%. 0.05%. Okay. All right. Right. The average interest rate on a savings account. Right. And what is that? What the hell is that? Right. What is that? What is that? Right. That's nothing. That's nothing. But people love the safety of that. Right. That's guaranteed. Right. That's guaranteed. So again, it depends upon your risk level. And I know a lot of people right now are just shitting. I mean, I'm going to use that because, and they're crying. I'll go, dude, we're just here in the pandemic. We were just here. At one point in a 52-week cycle, Apple was at 129, $129 a share. So don't trip. But again, a lot of people can't handle that. I'm losing money. You only lose when you sell. Cool. So let's talk about profit first. Get back to that now. Okay. Profit first fundamentally tells you to stop looking at simply P&Ls, set up 5 bank accounts for your business. One account is income. One account is taxes. That's super important. On the 10th and 25th, we fund the tax account. It's not my money. It's Uncle Sam's. Third account, owner's compensation. What do I need to live on? What do I need to take care of my family, my personal medical, all, and in that, I put in what I put into my 401k. That needs to be there too. The fourth account is profit. And I don't care if it's $1, $2, $3. You need to get in the habit of taking profit so you are creating a profitable business. So many people break even every year and they go, no, I made money. No, you made enough to cover your personal expenses. You are putting nothing away for your retirement. Nothing away for your retirement. Nothing away for your retirement, right? And if you think Social Security is going to take care of you, you're crazy. I pay the most Social Security tax possible. And I think it's like, I don't know, 90K a year or something. And I think I'm going to get like $3,500, from Social Security a month when I'm fully retired. That's nothing. That is nothing. So I want to be mindful of that. I, as a small business owner, need to have a retirement account. So the fact that I didn't come into wealth until I was in my 40s, I'm a lot more aggressive, right? A lot more aggressive. And I need to be because I have a number. Write this down. You need a number. What is that number? Saying right now, if I wanted to retire, how much money a year do I need to live on? How much money would that be? And let's say I had an investment account and I simply took what I made, the dividends, right? The interest I accumulated. If I simply took that out every year, what would that number be? And right now, for me, it needs to be $8 million. I need an $8 million portfolio that's yielding me, let's be conservative, let's say 5%. Okay, 5%. So what is that? $400,000? Then at that point, because I'm retired, what tax bracket do I sit in, right? Say I'm in the 40% tax bracket. So I'm still going to walk away with 200 and something thousand dollars a year. Clear after taxes. Can I live on $225,000? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Very well. Very well. So see, again, you want to look at that. And of course, as I get older, declining health, medical bills are going to be an issue. So what type of medical coverage do I have? And if something went really wrong and I exhausted all of my medical benefits, what kind of medical savings account do I have? And a lot of people believe in that more than they do having medical insurance. We have to have it by law, right? We do. But a lot of people believe in having that medical savings account that is in the market, but it's a medical savings account making them interest. Whereas I'm buying medical insurance, what does it pay me? Nothing, right? Unless I'm hospitalized. I haven't, knock on wood, thank you, Lord, I haven't been hospitalized or anything like that in decades. So I pay out money every year, every month. And it's huge at my age at 60. So you want to look at that as well. What is your number? What is your number? Did that make sense to you? I need an $8 million portfolio, yield me conservatively, paying me 5% interest every year, roughly 400,000, pay the taxes on that, 40% tax bracket. I have $225,000 a year. Can I live on that? Yes, I can. I'm going to tell you why. Because both my locations, which are grossing, will do about 1.9 million this year, which I'm super grateful for. But let's say it's a $2 million business, right? I'm selling it. We're valuing the company. I'm going to sell it to my guys. They're going to buy into it, but I will always own a percentage of it. So I'm getting a revenue stream there, right? So again, when you talk about investing, what are those different revenue streams? And I'll get to that in a minute. So back to profit first. That profit account, the habit of profit is really, really important. If you don't create a profitable business, then you are not an entrepreneur. You are not. You're simply somebody who created a job for yourself and you are a terrible boss. Anybody with me on that? And I have this discussion with people all the time because they go, no, I make money. No, you don't. All you're doing is making enough money to cover your expenses, your personal expenses, your vacations, your car payment, your food, your mortgage payment. But you are not taking that money and investing it somewhere where you're making passive income, right? When you're making money and you do nothing for it at that point, That is true entrepreneurship. When I have people running my businesses making me money and I don't need to be present, that is passive income. And it's the true definition of an entrepreneur. All right. So please be very clear about that, because I have this discussion, almost debate, argument with school owners. They go, no, I make money. No, you don't. All you're doing is covering your personal bills. That's all you're doing. You don't have any extra money to invest and build and accumulate passively. Okay. So be clear on that. So, what is your number? I don't know. And then that fifth account in Profit First is what? Expenses. So, as long as I have that discipline of income, taxes, owner's comp, profit, expenses, then I learned to create a budget to run my business in a very disciplined manner. I think one of the greatest joys of coming back and working during the pandemic is my payroll was lower because it went to me, right? It went to me. And that was super powerful. That was super powerful because now I could pay myself through the PPP and the ERC as an employee. Well, I took it as a draw, but nonetheless, I'm working. So it equates the same. I hope that makes good sense to you, right? Because the two things, thank you, David. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. God bless to you too, sir. Keep the faith, man. And so with that said, I mean, a side note on that was during the pandemic, the two biggest expenses are payroll and rent. We got rent deferred. We kept paying it at one location because they demanded it, and we cut our payroll. That's one of the reasons we survived that pandemic. The other was Letitia's magic on helping us through negotiating PPPs, ERCs, and these are all loans I've never had to pay back. Right? I did not take $10,000 on the EIDL. And they said, by the way, if you want some more operating income, we'll give it to you. That second half was a loan. And so many people coming to me, well, what do you mean? I have a loan at 2 point something% or whatever. I said, sir, you didn't look at the fine print. And that's what somebody like Letitia is so valuable. In talking to that school owner yesterday in the discovery call, I said, I would never go into lease negotiations without a lawyer. Never. Never, 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 ever. So again, there's certain things that if you don't spend money on them now, you're going to spend money on them later because you made a damn bad decision because you didn't have a person who is educated and well-versed like a lawyer to negotiate that lease. Done day, done day. Okay. So Profit First, great book to read. Read it, start disciplining yourself to take some profit in your business and then take that money and invest it. Invest it. And sure, there's a lot of places. Can you do gold? Sure. You want to do bonds? Sure. I prefer the market and I like startups. I do because I love the excitement. I love sitting with people that are creating something out of nothing. And maybe that's from the days of being a songwriter, right? I would sit there and write a song. Imagine that. I wrote a song that turned around and made me lots of money. That's a trip. That's a trip, right? That's a trip. How do you do that? How do you do that? You do, right? You do. When I opened One Martial Arts in San Francisco, I did it with $40,000 of other people's money. At that time, I had finished my rock and roll career. I blew through all the money trying to play rock star here. And there I was. So I was teaching at 3 or 4 health clubs, 3 or 4 martial arts schools. Taibo was huge at the time, huge. And I was riding the wave. I was teaching master's classes at big fitness conventions, things like that. And so I decided to open my own school. And I didn't have enough money saved. My sister had to co-sign the lease at the time, right? And here I'm freaking what? 38, 39 years old. Who knows what that was at that time. And I'm sitting, I'm like, wow, man. But I had a very clear vision and I was willing to do whatever it took. So one friend had 10,000, one had 5,000, one had 3,000, on and on and on. But I was able to buy them out within 2-3 years, got rid of them. They had K1s and everything. And within 7 years from the time I opened my doors, I made my first million. And here we are today. Since we've opened the second location, we gross $2 million a year and we have consistently. My consulting business is 6 figures. Kids Love Life Skills, it's growing. It needs a lot of love and we're going to get there with that, right? My investments on paper are looking amazing, amazing. Now, next book to read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I love Rich Dad, Poor Dad. How many of you have read it? Put it in there. Who's read Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Anybody? Put it in. I just want to check this, see where it is. Yeah. Okay. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a great book. And fundamentally, what it comes down to is the three legs of a stool of financial um, stability, wealth, building, however you want to label that, is number one, own a successful business. And what I mean by successful is it's profitable. It's making you money you can take and create passive income with. All right. If it's not doing that, then what the heck? Two, a portfolio, a good, diverse, you hear that word, needs to be diverse. If you have all your stuff in stock right now, you are screwed, right? A diverse portfolio, diversity. Okay. And three, real estate. Now, I know people out there, and for me, all of my Korean brothers and sisters, they love to buy real estate. I get that. And as I was talking to Sam one day about it, he said because it's very, very hard to own property in Korea. It's very expensive and it's really hard. The average person does not own a home in Korea. So when they come to America, a sign of success is owning property. Now, I'm in San Francisco. All my businesses are leased. Think about that for a minute. Does Starbucks own any of their locations? No, because it's location, location, location. I get it. If I'm somebody out in the middle of Milwaukee paying $10 a square foot, right, or 10 cents a square foot, and I've seen it as low as that, yeah, I could buy a 10,000 square foot building, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's a different day. And people say that to me all the time. You should own your property. You should own it. Well, I own my home, but I don't own my commercial properties because I'm about location, location, location. Cool? Right? And some of my most, valued mentors, right? Think of Encourage Martial Arts. They don't own their properties. They lease them, right? It's not a big deal. Well, rent's a waste of money. No, it's not, because you put yourself in a position where you have an anchor store. I have 24-hour fitness. I have Subways. I have Trader Joe's. I have Starbucks, right? I've got these really strong anchor stores that drive traffic to my business. So my rent might be $15,000 a month in Millway, but it's no big deal. We're doing $1 million a year, right? It's the cost of doing business. So we're cool with that. So what does he mean by owning real estate? I want to applaud Josh Arshman, right? He's a good friend of mine, and he does really well. He's now just opening his second school, but don't let that fool you. Josh Arshman owns the complex that his martial arts school is in. So he's got other businesses in this complex that are paying him rent, paying his mortgage. I understand he also owns rental properties with people that rent it. See, that's passive income, right? He's accruing equity on those homes. It's not the one that he lives in. We're talking about rental properties, different day. Sam Wiegert, he talks about co-living properties. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. And Sam is really big on that. Right. So he takes the money he makes, he buys properties, and they divvy up a home and divide it into 3, 4 rooms where people live in a roommate situation, because co-living is getting to be very popular. Why? Because freaking landlords are charging so much for rent. One person can't afford that type of rent. So again, it's a trend, and there's so many ways to do that, but I do believe in that. I do believe in that. Now, people will say the home you live in is not an asset. It is not an asset. It's a liability until you sell it. Okay, sure. But I have a different take on that. I paid $1 million for my home. It's currently worth 2.4 million. So now it's worth nothing if I sell it and buy another home in the same neighborhood. But if I sold this home right now at 2.4 million, I paid off the loan, right? And what I did is I remodeled my home completely. So I took a $6,000 loan to remodel it, because it costs $600,000. So my current mortgage is 1.2 million at 3%. I can manage that all day long. But if I sold my home for 2.4 million, I'm going to make 1.2 million after I pay off the loan. I take that 1.2 million, and my plan is to buy a little place in Hawaii. I buy that, maybe on the big island of Hawaii. There's small condos going for $300,000-$400,000. I take the rest of that money, I put it in the market. Where am I? Where am I? See, as long as I buy a home within a 2-year period, then they're not going to tax me on that 1.2 million. You follow me? So I beg to differ. What if you did something like sold that home and I went and moved to Costa Rica? where everything's really, really cheap. I have a friend right now living in the Philippines, got a one-bedroom apartment. He's paying $350 a month. He's living on his retirement and his disability. So again, I think the home that you live in can be a huge asset if your exit plan is designed where that money, the equity you've accrued, is going to work for you after. If I try to buy another home in this community right now, my mortgage payment would be astronomical. It'd be silly. And the interest rate is what? 7% now with the last rate? Cool. All right. So what else? What else do I want to say about that? And if you have questions, put them in. Put them in. Put them in. Buy within 2 years. Thank you, sir, to avoid capital gains tax. That's right, Jerry. Right? Buy within 2 years. Thank you, Jerry. That is accurate. Thank you, Jerry. Yeah. And so if you do that, again, the position you're in, you avoid that capital gains tax, right? But when it comes down to it, too, and I do want to share this, right? Is when I moved into that 1% tax bracket, I remember complaining about it to Britt Doyle, right? Who's my good friend and one of my financial advisors. And he said, dude, you should chill on that. I said, well, what do you mean, sir? He goes, you were paying taxes because you were making money. That's it, all day long. So be mindful of that. Do I want to reduce my tax dollar as much as I can? Absolutely. And that's why something like a safe harbor 401k plan that benefits my employees, creates a company that people want to work for. It's a deferred tax dollar, right? Because it's pre-tax. All that money I put into my 401k is pre-taxed. My trading account in Robinhood is not. I pay taxes on that money, and the money that's in there, I can liquidate and move in and out. That's what I enjoy about that. But why am I going to leave all this money sitting in a bank account that's not yielding me barely anything? If I have the ability to move that money in and out at will, then of course I'm going to put it in the market. And it's not this way every day. It's not. But when I can wake up and put so much money in the market, and by the end of the day, I've made, anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, I'm going, man, you know how many classes I would have to teach for that? It's passive income. But if you don't have the stomach for it and you're not in the position to do that, then what I recommend is the tried and true disciplined way of, investing consistently. Like my daughter, we have a Disney account for her. And you know who started that? Britt. Britt's her godfather. So when she was like being baptized, she was 3, 4 years old. Britt gave me a Disney account with $1,000 in it. He said, just put, $400 to $500 a month. So I put $400 a month in her Disney account every month, every month, every month, every month, right? And I buy towards the end of the month. That's what I choose to do. And I won't tell you what it's worth today. She's 11 years old, but yeah, Disney's down right now. But what do you think? You think Disney's going away? How many think Disney's going away? How many think Disney is going to be gone tomorrow? Go. Great companies, generational businesses know when to contract and expand, right? We're going to Disney in December, and I won't even tell you what that's costing us. It's crazy, but people are still going. People are still going. People are still traveling. Airbnb, even though their stock dropped a little bit, Airbnb says we're booked like crazy. Airbnb is now creating their own Airbnb homes, and that's so smart because they used other people's homes to make money on. Now they're making things like, I think one they're making is an igloo home you could rent. They're making a freaking avocado looking home you can rent. These novelty places. And I think it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Uber. Uber did really well too, because they moved into Uber Eats. I like studying companies like that. Chipotle, right? During the pandemic became a digital only restaurant. Their stock is, I don't know what Chipotle is now, but where it was pre-pandemic and where it is now, crazy. Crazy. Lululemon became an online company during the pandemic. And now, last time I look, I think they were opening 80 more brick and mortar stores. So, the big thing I understand, and in talking to the school owner yesterday, right? Should I expand my business? That was the big question. I need more floor space. Should I expand my business? And we went down this rabbit hole. I said, right now, if you're the tech sector, you have layoffs and hiring freezes and no more bonuses, right? And you're cutting back. You're in the oil industry, you're having record profits. There is no right or wrong. There's no hard and fast question, but a hard and fast answer. But I will say unequivocally, I will say without a doubt, if you're not creating passive income, you're not an entrepreneur and you are not saving for your retirement, you're going to need that. How many of you have at least one instructor that is broke, broke, broke? Go for it. Put it in the comments. How many of you have at least one instructor that's simply living paycheck to paycheck, right? I have several, and that is a crime. These talented, amazing martial artists that did so much for my life, but because they didn't have the business sense, nobody educated them on investing. They never, ever, ever saved for a rainy day, or in this case, saved for their retirement. Put it in there. How many of you have at least one of those? Yeah, I give that moment for science because I've had, school learners that died pretty broke, right? That were my instructors. And that's a crime. That's a crime. But it's a disciplined practice, is it not? Another book you should read is Gone Fishing. Gone Fishing. Put it in there, Marco. I can never say his name right. Jack Vogel, right? Put it in there, Marco. And he talks about it, gone fishing. And fundamentally, it's to set it and forget it, right? You find a good mutual fund, that has a really good balance of different stocks, right? And if you look at it, there's some that might have Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Costco, right? Some utility company, maybe an oil company. It has a good mix. And you can Google that. It's not rocket science. It's out there, right? And look at it. And what has this fund yielded anybody in the past decade, in the past 20 years, in the past 30 years? And you'll see it, right? A good fund like that is pretty consistent, right? Ooh, let's see. Jerry, I have one. He doesn't believe in creating a financial future. He has a 401k with our school. He refuses to put money in, right? Because there's that mantra too. You can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. Well, if you look at every piece of data out there, people are living to be much older than ever. Older than ever. Older than ever. Ever, 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 ever. So, can I anticipate at 60 years old to live to be in my 80s or 90s? If data says so, yeah, my father's 89. All my uncles are well into their 80s. That's even more data. That's even more data for my family, right? That's even more data. And look at me at 60. I'm still rocking and rolling. So odds are I'm going to be here to 80, 90 years old, pretty much. So stop to think about it. Colonel Sanders. When did Colonel Sanders become financially wealthy? Put it in there, Marco. I think Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken did not come into his wealth to what, 68? Well into his 70s? Put that in there. Look at Warren Buffett. He didn't hit billionaire status, I don't think, until his 60s. Take a look at that. Put it in there. So please, improvements. What is that, Marco? I don't know what that is. Oh, is this the one? Amazon. Yeah, Gone Fishing. Gone Fishing. And what's the author's name? Gone Fishing is the book. And he's the Fidelity guy, right? He's the Vanguard. Vanguard funds are pretty cool. So again, take a look, everybody, right? There's so many different ways to do that. And I know people that simply have a couple of Vanguard funds. They put money into it consistently and they don't look back. No, it's not Alexander Green. The one Jack, is it Jack? God, I never say his name right. Well, his name is John Clifton Jack Bogle, all right? But everybody knows him as Jack Bogle, Bogle. And he's got several books. Common Sense Investing, the little book of Common Sense Investing. That's the one you should read. I've read that. And Gone Fishing. I could be wrong on who wrote Gone Fishing. It's easy to cross my wires on that. Jack Bogle, Bogle, wrote the little book of investing. That's a good one. And then Gone Fishing, you might be right, Marco. Yeah, they've got so many books on this now. It's branched off into so many different things because it's a really good book, right? Who wrote the original one? Gone Fishing. God, there's so many variations of this book now. But you could look it up, right? Look it up. Everyone's saying Alexander Green. So that's cool. The big thing I'm trying to share is it's never too late. It is never too late, right? When's the best time to start a business? Now. I opened up one martial arts in San Francisco right at the .com bust, followed by 9/11. You got to get in the game. So when's the time to buy a home? Now. Everyone thinks you're nuts. 7% all-time high. Well, you think it's going to change? I live in a very affluent community, right? During the last mortgage crisis in 2016, I think we lost about 80,000 on our home before it shot back up. All right. So again, when's the best time to start investing? Now, right freaking now, right freaking now. But do your due diligence. I think the big thing is education. And it just really scares me. It scares me to no end. Late to the party. Hey, what's up, Master Ray Moore? Beyond Martial Arts. What's happening, sir? I think it's really scary though. Some of these young millennials, and my nephews did it. A lot of these people who invested into crypto. Okay, let's see. In 1964, then 73 years old, he sold Kentucky Fried Corporation for $2 million, $17.5 million today, to a partnership, right? So he went to partnership of Kentucky businessmen headed by John White. There you go. There you go, right? There you go. So he was 73, folks. It's never too late. And a sidebar on that, right? We believe success is not being on the mat. Every one of these consultants are going to tell you you need to work on your business, not in it. It's a sign of success. And this is true. This part I will say. Can you walk away for 2 weeks? Yes, I can. Can I walk away for 3 months? I could if it had to happen. But before the pandemic, when we were fully staffed, I took summers off, all summer, 3 months. And that is my goal in 2023. I want to build my bench strength back up to the point where I can take all of 2023 off for the summer, 3 months, right? That's the goal. But see, I think it's really about that. I came back to work during the pandemic. If I didn't come back to work, that business would be gone. So I have no challenge rolling up my sleeves and getting in there and working. It's not a big deal. Elon Musk walked into Twitter, and he's in there working it, right? Jerry, it is about education, but it's more about the people you associate with. Yeah, you got to create a great tribe around you. Absolutely. But it's also a value system. I don't like crypto. I know two people that lost close to $200,000 a piece, and one, it simply seized up. What does that mean? It seized. It stopped working. This other money disappeared in the Ethernet, just gone. That's scary. That's scary. And I think another one dissolved. What the heck is that? Right. But I have been watching Bitcoin and Ethereum, and those have been very consistent, right? They're right there. They're staying there. And Coinbase you can trade through is pretty solid. So would I look at something like Bitcoin down the road? Possibly. Possibly, because any great investor is going to look at a lot of different things in the diversity, but it's not something I'm in tune with, right? And going back to Jerry, I like good, solid investments. I do like Apple. I do like Microsoft, right? I do like good, solid stocks that have been around forever that I believe over time is going to yield me dividends and make me money, right? But my volatility is high. I have a high risk factor. So I'm happy to sit there and do something in a day that could be volatile and risky. Have I lost money on the market? Yeah, I have. Have I made more than I've lost? Absolutely. 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 So I think that diversity is important. Yeah, Meta's sucking right now, right? But, I was blessed to do a talk on leadership to the global marketing team back in May. So I was at Meta, spoke to this top marketing team, and I was able to do a lot of research on Meta. And I know right now he's losing billions, billions. I think Meta stock is down, I don't know, 60, 75%. What is it down right now? Right? Yeah, see, Jerry, I do not invest in anything I do not thoroughly understand. And that's it. That homework I think is really, really important. And being in there, in Meta doing that talk, They said we're a startup with 80,000 people. So if you're a startup, you're going to think to lose money, right? What startup makes money in year one, year two, year three? I don't think Amazon was profitable until year 7 or 9. Look that up for me, Marco. Because, it doesn't matter. I think that's the point I make. Right. Yeah, Meta's $88. What a freaking steal at $88. Because what I do understand with startups, Mark Zuckerberg has said it clearly. We're going to be investing billions. We're going to be losing money for the next 5 years. But if you look at the potential of metaverse, if I'm a doctor and I can sit there in the metaverse and rehearse and practice operating on somebody 100 times before I actually do it on somebody, I'll be more well versed. Heinz put the ketchup supply chain, they put it in the metaverse. The time the tomatoes are grown to when they're picked, to when they're trucked to the warehouse, to when they're processed and turned into ketchup, to where they're packaged, to where they're trucked to the grocery store, till they get on the shelf. Now, why is that a smart move? Because I can sit there and do so many different, I can feed millions of bits of data into the supply chain to find out how to be more efficient and cut my costs. So I become a more profitable company. That makes sense to me. If I sit there and take 50 drivers and change their route, I could lose a whole lot of money. But if I can sit there and plug this information, using Waze or some other platform and run these trucking routes 50 billion different ways to find out what's the most efficient route, I can save a lot of money. A lot of money. You see where I'm going with that? So I believe it's going to be revolutionary. I agree with you, Master Raymore. Is it there today? No. Is it disruption? Yes. But I believe one day you're going to see metaverse and people are going to go, oh man, I should have been buying at $88. I should have, right? I should have. But right now, if you bought Meta even at 200, you're at a loss. But if we look at it, if someone had to predict, what does it say? Just pull me some data. What is Meta going to be worth in 20 years? Can somebody find that? We found the one on Apple. Find the one on Metaverse. This is all good talk, you guys. I'm really proud of you. Can I say that? I'm really proud of you because they're good questions. Jerry, your input's been wonderful. It seems like you are a sound investor, right? A very consistent investor, I would say, right? You have a 401k in your business. Your people choose to buy into it or they don't, which allows me to max out my 401k. All good stuff. So what have we learned today? Number one, portfolio. Number one, profit first. Read the book. If you're not creating a profitable business, all you've done is create a job for yourself, right? And you're probably a terrible boss. You have no retirement. You have no vacation with pay. And you're simply making enough money pretty much to make your mortgage payment, pay your property tax, pay all your expenses. And you might have a little something left over at the end. But if you run that type of business where money in, you have one account, you pay everybody in that account, and then you're the last person to get paid, that is not a business I want to be part of. Again, what I love about profit first, money in, pay my taxes, take care of owner's comp, all my personal bills, profit, and then expenses, right? You need to create passive income. You need to save for your retirement. Number two, what is that number? What number do you need to retire on? Do you know your number? Mine is 8 million. 8 million yielding 5%, which is very conservative year in and year out. Pay my taxes on that. I'm in the 1%, 40% tax bracket. I'm going to live on about $225,000 a year. But that is not my only revenue stream. I will always make money in the schools once I value them and sell them and, get my two guys bought into that. That's a done date. TJ's number one on that, right? So there'll be residual income there. I will still collect residual income from being a consultant because I want to be relevant. I like it. I am a critical thinker. I do not need a phone to figure things out. I have good common sense. And that's what the school owner got off the phone with me yesterday going, wow, you've brought up things that nobody would bring up. And you know what it is to me? Freaking common sense. I don't need a smartphone to teach me I'm smart. I don't need Alexa, Google, or YouTube video to figure things out. And that's why I'm going to be even more valuable as I get older because machine learning and AI is going to take over all of these trivial jobs. Cashier at McDonald's, gone. Why? Because they're driving up freaking minimum wage for a job that a high schooler should not be paid $16, $17 for. It's an entry-level job. It's ridiculous. If you're trying to live on a McDonald's cashier job, I'm sorry, that's bad choices in your life, right? So what do they have? Kiosks. Kiosks. They now have, AI robot baristas. And this is going to go on and on. But you know what? Those machines are going to need new data. Who's cultivating the disruption? Who's coming up with that thinking? Human, because humans understand human needs. Now, I'm sure machine learning, it can learn and all that, but ultimately, a machine is still a machine. I don't care how much data you feed it. But who's producing that data? Us. Us. So that critical thinker for me is really important. Common and not common when you're not open to learning. Yeah, but learning, see, Master Raymore, when we talk about learning based upon your vision, your core values, that's a huge difference. I don't want to learn how to be a drug dealer. They're some of the richest, most profitable people in the world, sir. So when we talk about learning, it's what learning and how valid is that learning, right? Depending upon the platform and where I gather that data from, I want to make sure I'm learning things that fit my core values. And I don't mean a narrow minded, narcissistic, ego driven thinking. I'm talking a very humble, grateful, open mind to learning things to help me become a better person, to help me serve my family better, to help me impact the community, to help me, provide for my team, for me to leave this world a better place when I'm dead and gone. So for me, if I can do that with a sense of humility, I will be open minded to the type of learning, Master Raymore, that will better this world. I invest money into companies that want to be sustainable, right? That want to leave this earth in better shape than when they came into it. So those type of companies appeal to me a lot. A lot. They do. As we use this very platform to communicate. Yeah. Yep, yep, yep. According to long-term forecast, Meta will reach $272 by the end of 22 and 360 in 2023. Well, we know that didn't happen, right? We didn't happen. 2022, there's no way Meta's going to end up at 272. I don't believe that. I don't. I don't believe that. But see, those are factors we can't determine. But let's look long term. Long term, right? In 2030, it'll be $765 a share. I believe that. I believe that. I totally believe that, right? I totally believe that. Do you believe that? I believe that, right? You remember the second coming of Steve Jobs? How low was Apple at that point? But had you bought Apple when Steve Jobs first came back aboard, oh man, who knows what that would be worth today? Just Google that, Marco. What was Apple worth when Steve Jobs came back? When did he come back? Early 80s? Can anybody figure that out? If you want to, but see, that's the type of data I mine because, oh, that's really good data. Huh. That's good stuff. See, because what Apple created was a business not dependent upon Steve Jobs. It's a culture driven business based upon what? Think different. So Steve Jobs died, stock dropped a little bit, Tim Cook took over. Look where they are now. And I think Apple's brilliant because right now Apple's moving a lot of its factories out of China into India, right? That's smart. That's smart business because of the way things are with the pandemic and the supply chain and everything else, right? You know how much money it costs to move your factories from China to India? They understand long term. See, they think long term. So Apple might be low now and they're putting out all this money to move factories to India, but long term, it's going to be powerful. Okay, let's see. I love this kind of stuff. 18 years ago today, Steve Jobs returned to Apple. The stock closed that day at $21.94 per share. Adjusted for a 2-for-1 and a 7-for-1, Apple's trading at 79 in today's terms. Isn't that crazy? That's crazy, right? So what does that mean? Apple was trading at 78.3 cents per share. That's what it was at that time, 78.3 cents. And what is Apple worth now? $135 today. So even though it's at the lowest it's been, right? We know in 52 weeks it's been 129. Even at $129, if it was trading at 78.3 cents per share and you had, let's say, 1,000 shares of Apple, Marco, at 78.3 cents, that's 1,000. We haven't even talked about dividends and everything else. But had you done that, what would that be worth today? Of course, you're going to make money. That's the point I'm trying to share. I think this get rich quick, these day traders and things like that, that's not what I would recommend for the small business. I don't. I don't. I don't. Think long term. Well, I'm 60, but you know what? Odds I'm going to live to be 90. So I've got a good 20 to 30 years of investing under my belt. And if I'm not taking the money out until then, when I'm retired at a lower tax bracket, right, then I'm going to be in a much different position. You with me? Oh man, we've gone over because I can talk about this all day, all freaking day, all day. But let's thank our sponsors, Marco. Let's do this. Man, I went over and I got to hop on another call. Okay. Thank you to my sponsors, Market Muscles, My Studio, Kids Love Life Skills, LC Accounting. I love you guys. Keep doing good work. I know there's going to be challenges as you constantly disrupt things. It messes people's heads up. They don't like it. They don't want to learn the technology. You know, I've been sitting on these webinars for My Studio the past couple of weeks. It's mind-blowing. It's kind of like Photoshop. I know about 8% of My Studio. If we really educate ourselves, like Jerry's saying, the education, educate. You know, what's our vision? That's the question. It is, Jerry. It is. What's your vision, right? What is your version of success? Man, you look at the freaking guy out there with the mansion and the green Lambo, your freaking Ty Lopez running through this thing with blonde sitting in a hot tub. Is that your version of success? Honestly, at 60 years old, I'll tell you what's my version of success. Number one, for my family. I want to make sure I'm there at every basketball game, every soccer game, every time my kids need me. I want to be there, right? More than ever. I want to buy basketball cards for my son so I can open them with him, right? We got a card the other day, folks. It was a $10 pack. We pulled a $5,000 card if we grade it. But beyond that, right? Because we know that that's another thing I'm passionate about and we invest in, right? We have, you know, a block of tickets. We'll sit at the Warriors game at $400 a seat, spend $150 on food that would have cost us $20 had we bought it at the store. But I won't get that time back with him. So for me, that's my vision of success. My health, of course. And you know what? I love teaching again. I love being on the floor. Tomorrow I'm normally off, but I'm filling in for one of my guys who are camping. I love it. I freaking love it. I love it. I love it. I do. I freaking love it. That's my version of success right now. Right. And then, of course, to help you guys, right? I do this for free. I have people that I consult at top dollar. You work with me, you will pay me top dollar. But when I help people create their version of success, it's a good day. It's a good day, right? Yeah. Creating black belt champions in life. Sure. Jerry, if that's your mission, who gives a crap what me or anybody else says? At the end of the day, you know, I say that to everybody. When all is done and said, it doesn't, who cares what I say or anyone else says? Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. Figure it out for yourself. The most empowering thing in my life is to take all this data, all this advice, and all this information and ultimately make a decision for me that is best for me. Why? You don't live my life. You have no idea what's in my heart, what's in my mind, what's in my game plan. Well, you should be doing this. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not what I want. I want to be sitting with my kids at their soccer game. I want to be on my mat teaching today. I want to be able to help my guys. Two of my guys bought homes during the pandemic. That makes me most proud. My team was kept on full salary through this pandemic. That makes me most proud. See? So again, you could tell me what I need to do is open more locations. You could tell me what I need to do is buy, more rental property. But ultimately, all that matters at the end of the day when I put my head on the pillow, am I cool with the life I'm living? So figure that out first and foremost. And hey, if you need me, where can you find me? Number one, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to Success Never Sleeps and Mindful Meditations. Become part of our disruptor group. I'm taking files out. People said, I didn't know that was there. You better get it before I take it out. The ultimate birthday experience. One of my clients want to start doing birthday parties. I said, well, it's been sitting in the disruptor files for about freaking 4 or 5 years. I'm going to take it out because you need to do your freaking homework. And if you didn't know there was that birthday experience in there telling you how to run the ultimate birthday party, that's your own damn fault. You feel me? And then think about coming to It's Time Life Balance. Marco put it up April 15th through 18th right here, Millbury, California, 5 minutes from the airport, 4 days, 20 people, the most intensive learning you will ever experience. The most intensive learning you will ever experience. Because it's so much more. I don't want to sit in Vegas, lights and glitz and glam. I want to do that. I don't drink. I don't like people that smoke. It's not my gig. I want to create a learning environment that's awesome. And this is an awesome. We're coming up on our 8th event. So if you sign up, one of 20 people for 4 days, you can bring a team member for 2 days for $99. That's right. I want your team to experience what we do here. Once they do, they all get excited and you go back and you run hard. Cool, cool, cool. The link is in there to go to brannonbeliso.com, look under events, get signed up for that. Join our disruptor group. Put that in there as well. And I want to give a big congratulations to Marco. Give him a big hand. He's here, but he just got their place is done. They've moved into their new location. This has been part of our plan for years. And Marco will tell you, he wanted to get this space that he's in now a couple years ago. And what did I tell you, Marco? No. And he listened to me and he got a much better deal now. And they're open now, and they survived the pandemic and he's in this new location and they're so happy. He's going to post some more videos at the Disruptor group. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Cool. All right. I'm Brannon Beliso. Thank you so much. Thank you so, so much. Until we talk again, this is Success Never Sleeps. What are you going to go out there and do? Live your best life.